It's funny how we all revert to type sooner or later, isn't it? The abusive partner who promises to change their ways and even manages to hold their temper in check for a month or two before something sends them over the edge. The alcoholic who swears off the booze after drinking paint stripper and waking up in someone else's bathtub with blood on their hands one too many times, only to find themselves right back where they started. Or in this case, the laughably stupid TV show that got marginally less terrible for one brief episode, only to lapse right back into its old habits with the next one. Episode 6 is in many ways a perfect conglomeration of everything that makes the Acolyte such a laughingstock. Horrendous writing that incorporates every cheap storytelling cliche in the book, a nonsensical and meandering story that takes twice as long as it should to accomplish anything, forced and clunky dialogue that reads like it was written by an earnest 13-year-old fanfic author, wildly misfiring attempts at humour in the worst possible places, and apathetic performances by a mixture of good actors trying to make the best of bad material and bad actors trying to make the most of their limited range. It all adds up to a big old pile of shit. Yeah, it might have had some pieces of sweet corn visible in it the last week, but now it's gone back to just being regular old fecal matter. So let's get this over with as quickly as possible, shall we? The episode begins with strong female protagonist waking up on unknown planets. But for the purposes of this review, I'm just gonna call it Craggy Island.
Don't tell me I'm still on that feckin' island!
Anyway, after getting dressed, she follows Smilo Ren to a nearby pool and watches while he takes a lovely dip for absolutely no reason other than the actor being extremely buff. You know, it's funny how people bang on endlessly about the objectification of women in media, but they're totally cool with stuff like this, which is literally the exact same thing. I mean, I don't mind too much either way, to be honest, but at least have a consistent rule. Anyway, Smilo Ren challenges strong female protagonist to touch his lightsaber, but she's like, nah, it'll be fine, and then he just kind of walks off so that the next scene can happen. This is going to be a consistent theme throughout the episode, by the way, where characters have a certain point they want to make or a revelation they need to get to, and instead of just tackling the problem with a direct conversation like any normal person would, they drip feed tiny scraps of information before they either get interrupted by some contrived problem, or they just walk away to let the audience ponder what just happens. It's a cheap, lazy and predictable way to spin out what should be fairly straightforward dialogue scenes into an entire episode of frustratingly limited progression. It's nothing but the illusion of tension and mystery with nothing substantial to back it up. Anyway, over to strong female antagonist who's infiltrated Squid Game guy's ship by posing as her sister. Yes, this is a plot point that actually happens in this show, and goes up to the cockpit with a knife in hand to murder him. Although I'm not entirely sure why, because later in the episode it seems to suggest that she's here to tease information out of him about what happened to the communist lesbian space witches 16 years ago. Which would definitely make sense since she had a chance to kill him in the previous episode and totally didn't go through with it, so why the knife? Are you just trying to make us think he's in danger? Did you even read the script for the previous episode? Ah, whatever. So Squid Game guy is trying to contact Jedi headquarters to warn them about what just happened on the planet, and instead of leading with something like, my team were just killed by a Sith Lord, the Sith are back and they're totally a thing now, and you need to put everyone on high alert because the Sith could destroy the whole Jedi Order if we're not careful. Instead, all he manages to do is mumble some bullshit about his team being dead and something big happening. Fucking hell, dude, now's not the time to be playing man of mystery. Just tell them what they need to know so they can send backup ASAP. Now, I know exactly why he doesn't say it. It's because the writers are trying to dance around the fact that they're totally retconning Star Wars lore, as long as they can say the events of this show are only known by a few people. It's just like Michael Burnham being secretly responsible for everything that ever happened in Star Trek, and the writers passing it off by saying, oh, it was classified, that's why nobody ever knew about her. Bullshit! Fuck off, Michael Burnham. Anyway, wouldn't you know it, the comms are conveniently on the fritz, so only some of the message actually gets through.
Well, isn't that convenient for you?
At first I assumed that strong female antagonist had sabotaged the system, but if that's the case, surely she would have disabled communications altogether instead of just messing it up a bit. Either way, part of the message gets through to Jedi headquarters, where Soy Boy here informs strong female character number 3 of the situation. And holy crap, the man looks like he's about to piss his pants with absolute fear just talking to her. Isn't it interesting that the only 2 white guys in this show are both portrayed as absolute pussies by actors who look like they use safety safety scissors to open a packet of crisps. Must be a total coincidence, I guess. Also, you might think that Squid Game guy would be able to sense that strong female antagonist isn't who she claims to be, since he's a Jedi and that's kind of a thing for them, but instead he's completely clueless so that the rest of the plot can happen. But do you know who does know the truth? Basil. Oh yeah, fucking Basil. Now you might think it would make sense for Basil to go directly to Squid Game guy and warn him about the danger. After all, he's got a vengeful assassin on board who's already killed 2 other Jedi Masters. This is not the kind of situation you want to be messing around with. But nah, instead he wanders off to a workbench and plugs Pip's head into a charging port. What the fuck's even going on here? But Drinker, you diverse space wizard with the power of many, I hear you say? Squid Game guy can't speak Basil's language, so there's no way to warn him.
Oh, come on!
I mean, like, have you ever heard of translation software? Shit man, a pen and paper would probably do the trick here. Instead, Basil disables the power system to lure strong female antagonist down into the engine room, because there's no way that Squid Game guy would have gone by himself, so that he can fight her. What the fuck? You're nothing but a giant hamster, mate. What the hell do you expect to do against an armed Jedi killer? This woman could literally snap your neck with the power of her mind. I mean, why not just lock her in the room? Or vent the compartment into space? Or shoot her with a stun gun? Literally anything except what you actually try here. And the most insane thing about this is that it actually works. He kicks her in the foot and Pip squirts robot cum in her face like this is a Three Stooges sketch, and then he vanishes into the ship again. But when strong female antagonist goes back up to the cockpit and tries to use the radio for some reason, Squid Game guy finally figures out who she is and stuns her. And honestly, I can't quite decide if he figured it out because she gave the game away with her behaviour, or because Basil told him because he's standing right behind him when the stunning happens. Maybe the writers don't even know either. Not to worry though, because strong female character number 3 and Soy Boy make it to the jungle planet, and strong female character number 3 uses a lightsaber whip to kill the local wildlife, which looks just as dumb in execution as it is in concept. I mean, can you imagine the kind of collateral damage a weapon like this would cause if it was actually used in battle? It would be like dropping napalm on your back garden to barbecue some burgers. Anyway, for some reason, strong female character number 3 now believes that Squid Game guy was responsible for the massacre, which makes absolutely no sense because why would he call it in to report his own crime?
Not a great plan.
Then they just leave, having accomplished absolutely nothing except to eat up some screen time, which I suspect was the whole reason for that subplot in the first place. Oh yeah, and the episode ends with strong female protagonist trying on Smilo Ren's helmet because he told her to. Remember this scene from Revenge of the Sith? Apparently Leslie Headland does. You know, this show is becoming just a complete slog to get through. We're only 2 episodes from the end now, and there's absolutely no sense of pace, tension, or stakes. I don't get the sense whatsoever that this is building up to anything in particular. It's just grinding forward with all the dramatic impetus of a fucking glacier. The emotional tone swings wildly from one extreme to the other in the space of a single scene, like that time I tried driving a tractor home after 2 pints of absinthe. One minute the writers expect you to take this thing deadly serious, the next they're trying to work snarky humour and goofy physical comedy into the middle of a supposedly intense dramatic confrontation. It's as jarring as it is juvenile, and it undercuts what's already a deeply flawed script. Every time a character's on the verge of delivering some actual useful information that would move the plot forward, there will always, and I mean always, be an interruption right at the crucial moment, and then once it's resolved, everyone just kind of drifts away, like the moment's passed and they don't feel like it anymore. Contrivances and conveniences are all over the place, like one group of characters arriving at a planet literally seconds after the other one departs at light speeds, or villains trusting their lives to complete strangers that have got absolutely no reason not to kill them, or radio signals that only transmit just enough information to get people moving in a certain direction without providing the context needed to actually tell them what's happening. Writing is easy when you don't have to account for reality, believability, or common sense, isn't it, Leslie? Performances are all over the place. Lee Jung-jae and Manny Jacinto are both strong, commanding actors doing their best with the limited material they're given, but just like Ray Stevenson in Ahsoka, even a great actor can only elevate a shit production so much. And it's a real shame here because I get the sense that Jacinto could actually be a really good villain in a different show. a show that isn't crap. On the other end of the spectrum are Amanda Stenberg and Rebecca Henderson, neither of whom really seems to understand how or why they got here, and after watching them sleepwalk their way through 6 episodes of this crap, neither do I. Oh well, 2 more episodes to go and then we can finally put this nightmare behind us. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.